بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ بوأنا لإبراهيم مكان البيت ألا تشرك بي شيئا وطهر بيتي للطائفين والقائمين والركع السجود.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. Dear brothers and sisters, in this session I am going to explain the remaining rules regarding the prohibitions of Ihram. As I mentioned in the previous session, there are 25 prohibitions. There are 25 things that are prohibited for a person in the state of Ihram. I mentioned as many as 11 prohibitions in the previous sessions. Today I'm going to explain the rules regarding the remaining prohibitions. Now, the 12th prohibition is to wear shoes or socks or stockings. It is forbidden for a man, not for a woman, to wear shoes or socks or stockings. Generally speaking, it is not permissible for a man to cover his feet. He cannot cover his feet, and if he covers his feet, then he has to give a kafara, and the kafara is a sheep. The kafara for wearing shoes, for wearing socks or stockings is a sheep. And of course, it is permissible for women to wear their shoes or to cover their feet and to wear socks or stockings. This rule is specific to men only. So what should they wear? Of course, there are the men. As far as the men, they can wear special slippers or flip-flops, which are available in the vicinity of Mecca and also in Medina and in Miqat also. So the pilgrims can either purchase it beforehand or they can buy it from the place where they wear the ihram. The 13th prohibition is to swear at some people, to lie to some people, or to engage in unlawful boasting. Generally, these things are included in the category of fusuq. This is termed as fusuq or outrage. Now, fusuq is forbidden. Fusuq includes lying, swearing, and boasting unlawfully. And when it comes to lying, of course, lying is forbidden under any circumstances. It is not allowed, even if you are not in the state of ihram, it's forbidden. And swearing is also forbidden. You cannot swear at other people, even if you are not in the state of ihram. And also unlawfully boasting is forbidden. Boasting means to say something about yourself, to show off yourself in a manner that is not true. And this might include denigrating someone, or backbiting someone, or talking ill of someone. All this is forbidden. And also, swearing at other people is forbidden. Swearing and unlawfully boasting might include saying, for example, yes by God or no by God. All this is forbidden. It is forbidden to say by God or no by God or yes by God, as I said in Arabic, na'am wallahi, or bali wallahi, or la wallahi. All this is forbidden, and it does not make any difference whether you say that in your own language or you speak it in Arabic. Swearing is absolutely forbidden, and taking oath is also forbidden, unless, of course, taking oath is to prove a right or to establish a right, in which case it is permissible. Otherwise, it's not permissible. And if a person takes an oath or swears or lies to someone, he has to give a kafara, and the kafara is, of course, a sheep. He should give a sheep. And of course, if he takes oath twice, he has to give 2 sheep, and if he takes oath thrice unlawfully, then he has to sacrifice a cow. Another prohibition in the state of ihram is quarreling. Quarreling is also forbidden. It is forbidden for a pilgrim in a state of ihram to quarrel with others. Particularly, quarreling is sometimes accompanied by swearing in the name of Allah. That is absolutely forbidden. And if a person swears in the name of Allah, and it does not make any difference whether he swears in the name of Allah in his own language or in Arabic, that does not make any difference. It includes all kinds of swearing in the name of Allah, of course, in any language. In this case, if a person swears or quarrels, as I mentioned in the previous, in regards to outrage or fusuq, if a person says la wallahi or na'am wallahi, even in his own language, he has to give a kafara, and the kafara is a sheep if he says that once, and 2 sheep if he says that twice, and of course a cow if he says it thrice. Now, there is no kafara, there is no penalty if a person takes an oath rightfully, and if it is true, if the oath is true. As I mentioned, if a person takes an oath to establish a right, there is no problem in it. Or if a person boasts lawfully, correctly, and truly about something which is true, there is no problem in it, provided that it does not involve denigrating a believer and denigrating someone else. The 15th prohibition is killing of insects found on the body. It is forbidden for a person to kill a lice if he finds lice in his head or in his hair, and it's also forbidden for him to kill any other kind of insects which he finds. For example, if he finds an insect in his clothes, he cannot kill it, and he cannot also remove it from his body. He cannot throw it away. And of course, if he does so, if he kills an insect, if he kills, for example, a louse, then the kafara is to feed a believer, to give 750 grams of foodstuffs to a needy believer, to a needy faithful person. Another prohibition in the state of ihram is self-beautification, to engage in beautifying oneself. If a person beautifies someone else, there is no problem in it. There is no penalty for it. But if the pilgrim himself uses makeup and uses something to beautify himself, then that is forbidden for him, and it's not permissible for him to use any kind of makeup or any kind of cream to beautify himself. Beautification is forbidden, and it does not make any difference whether that pilgrim is male or female. It is forbidden for all pilgrims. Of course, if a person has already beautified himself, for example, before wearing ihram, if a person has worn makeup or has beautified himself, there is no objection, even if the effect of the beautification remains with him after wearing ihram. But when he wears ihram, when he puts on the garment, then there he cannot beautify himself, and that is a forbidden act. And if he beautifies himself, then he has to repent for it. He has to seek divine forgiveness. Another prohibition is applying oil. It is forbidden for a person in the state of ihram to beautify, to wear or to apply oil. And even if the oil does not contain any perfume or any scent, then it is not permissible for him to use the oil or to apply it. In case a person applies the oil and the oil contains scent, perfume, in that case, the person who has applied it must give the kafara of a sheep. He has to sacrifice a sheep as a penalty or expiation. Another prohibition in the state of ihram is to remove the hair from the body. One who is in the state of ihram is not allowed to remove or to pluck the hair from his head or from his eyebrow or from his armpit or from any other parts of his body. he cannot do this intentionally. Of course, if it falls off, if the hair falls off, without the pilgrim plucking it, without him removing it, there is no problem. But if he, for example, if he is having a shower and he has hair fall and the hair falls off his body, he did not pluck it, there is no problem and there is no penalty for it. But if he intentionally plucks off or removes the hair from his body, from his head, from his armpit, or from any other part of his body, then the kafara is a sheep, and that is a penalty. The 19th prohibition in the state of ihram is to cover the head. It is forbidden for men to cover their head when they are in the state of ihram. Therefore, a pilgrim cannot use a shawl, he cannot use a mask or a shirt or a fan or an umbrella to cover the head. They cannot use anything to tie the head with and to cover it. Therefore, they cannot wear a cap. Wearing a cap is forbidden. And even it is not permissible for a person to cover his head using his hand. And covering the head is forbidden only for men. The women should cover their head because they are not allowed to expose their hair to strangers, to male pilgrims, and that is a must. The 20th prohibition is ladies' face cover. As I mentioned in the previous session, women cannot cover their faces. They have to keep their faces uncovered. Of course, they cannot cover their face with a veil or with a niqab, which is called drape, or a mask. And they cannot also use a fan, for example, a hand fan, to cover their face. They cannot cover their faces using anything. So covering the face is forbidden, and if a woman covers her face, then the kafara for covering the face is a sheep. She must sacrifice a sheep as a penalty or as an expiation. The 21st or the 21st prohibition is remaining under shade by men. Men are not allowed to walk or to move under shadow. Of course, only walking and moving under shadow is forbidden. But if the pilgrims reach their destination, the target, the place where they reside, the place where they stay, then that is not forbidden. It's only during moving from place to place that it is forbidden for pilgrims, for men to walk under shadow or to move under shadow. Shadow means to move under the shadow of a wall or to sit in a car which is roofed. Sitting in a roofed car during the day, of course, is not allowed. And also carrying an umbrella is not allowed for a male pilgrim to move under a shade. That is not allowed. So traveling in a roofed car is forbidden. A pilgrim must sit on the roof of a car, not under the roof of the car, if he is going to travel by a car. He cannot also travel under the shadow or in a shadow of a wall which extends, whose shade extends, and the pilgrim cannot walk in the shadow of the wall or in the shadow of a car, or a bus, for example. He has to walk from places where there is no shadow. Of course, if the sky is cloudy, there is no problem, because the cloud is something natural. He cannot escape the shade of the cloud. Moving under the shade of the cloud which is in the sky is allowed, and there is no kafara for it. But if a pilgrim deliberately and intentionally moves under a shade or sits in a car which is roofed, then he has to give a kafara, and the kafara is a sheep. The 22nd prohibition is to remove blood from the body. As a matter of precaution, it is forbidden for a pilgrim in a state of ihram to remove blood from his body in any way. And of course, removing blood can be done in any way. A person cannot injure himself to remove blood from his body. Therefore, cupping, which is called in Arabic hijama, is forbidden. And also removing a tooth which normally and usually give rise to blood is forbidden, because if he removes the teeth, then he will have bleeding in his mouth, and that's also forbidden. In case a pilgrim removes a tooth and he bleeds and his mouth starts bleeding, or if he cups and takes out blood from his back or from his leg, it does not make any difference, then that is forbidden, and the penalty is a sheep. The 23rd prohibition in the state of ihram is cutting nails. It is forbidden for a pilgrim, whether he is male or she is a woman, it does not make any difference. Cutting nails is forbidden. One cannot use, for example, a nail cutter or a nail trimmer to cut down or shorten his nails. That is absolutely forbidden, and the kafara for cutting one's nail is 1 mud, 750 grams. 1 mud is equal to 750 grams of food for cutting all hand nails. Of course, in one session, of course, if a person cuts one nail, then that is 1 mud of foodstuff. That is 750 grams of foodstuffs. And if a person cuts all the nails of his hands and feet in one session, then that is also forbidden, and the kafara, the penalty, is 1 sheep. He has to sacrifice 1 sheep as the penalty for cutting all the nails in one session. The 24th, which is one before the last prohibition, is the extraction of teeth. The extraction of teeth is forbidden. According to some scholars, it is forbidden for a person to extract, to pull out a tooth, even if no blood comes out. Extracting a tooth is forbidden under any circumstance, even if blood comes out or if blood does not come out. And the scholars have said that the kafara for pulling out a tooth is a sheep. Now the last prohibition, the last thing which is forbidden and which is not allowed for a person in the state of ihram is to wear arms or to carry arms. Of course, in the present day, the arms are rifles, pistols, and these things. Carrying these things is forbidden. In old days, some pilgrims used to carry swords, they used to carry spears, and they would carry any other types of arms. So carrying arms in whatever manner, in whatever form or shape it might be, provided that it's considered and viewed in common view as carrying arms, then that is not allowed. One who is in the state of ihram cannot carry arms, and it does not make any difference as to what kind of arms they might be. If it is called arms and carrying arms in common view, then that is forbidden. And carrying arm, the penalty for carrying arms is a ship. Dear brothers and sisters, these are the prohibitions. There are 25 prohibitions, as I mentioned, and these 25 prohibitions are important to learn. This is an essential part of ihram, an essential part of your knowledge for Hajj. If you are going to travel for Hajj, you have to learn, you have to understand, and you have to know that these are the prohibitions, and you cannot commit and you cannot do any of these prohibitions. Otherwise, you will be liable for penalty, and the penalty is sometimes very heavy. Maybe you have to sacrifice a camel or a cow or a sheep, and that is unaffordable, especially if they are repeated. Then you have to give separate penalties for each of these prohibitions. So it is very important to learn these things, and of course once you learn, then of course you can be at ease, you can be comfortable, and rest assured that the rest of the rituals which you are going to perform will be valid. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا